In today's video, we're going to be having a conversation about some booster boxes you guys need to pick up, with that being Lost Origin and Silver Tempest. But now, before we jump into it, as always, we do weekly giveaways. All you have to do to enter is leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe. But now, jumping into today's topic. So, ladies and gentlemen, obviously last video we talked about my favorite Elite Trainer box that I think you guys need to pick up, Crown Zenith. Well, today we're going to be talking about my favorite booster boxes that I think you guys definitely need to be picking up, and that being Silver Tempest Lost Origin. Now, if you guys don't already know, it's obviously been discussed in the past couple of videos, but we recently got reprints for both Lost Origin and Silver Tempest about a month ago now, and from that we've seen some price corrections, from Lost Origin going from around 160 to 180 at its overall high. I've seen it go for 190 sales at the highest on TCG Player, but obviously if you look at the charts, it's going to show you that it really only went to 165, but you know, that's usually not indicative. Same kind of story is being shown with Silver Tempest, with it hitting around the height of 145 to 150, but sales being sold as high as 160 to 170. And right now, where are the booster boxes at? A little bit below 130 for Silver Tempest as it stands right now. And for Lost Origin, a little bit before 140 if we are going off of TCG Player prices. Now, you might be saying, well, with this reprint, we obviously were anticipating a dump, but it wasn't as big as we may have thought. We were hoping that the price point was going to go to the low 100s, but sadly, it ended up going into, you know, the 20s to 30s and as high as the 40s on TCG Player. But if we're just going outside of TCG Player, there are other websites and other groups that you can pick these booster boxes up for at a cheaper price. Some places they're going to charge you closer to that 125 for Silver Tempest, 120, and then for LO about 130-ish. Give or take, but if you want to get it for even cheaper than that, then you're usually going to have a bundled product that is going to be attached to that, which comes into the conversation of why I think these items might be an amazing pickup. For starters, if we've obviously been considering the fact that it has been well over a month now since these items have gotten the reprint, the general price correction hasn't been a ton for the reason of the bundles. Usually, as I mentioned in the previous video, there's multiple different ways in which the distribution with Pokemon tends to offer product for, you know, new reprints, and with that, one of the ways in which they go about doing it is offering things through bundles, and a lot of times that won't stop the prices from falling quite dramatically. But this time around, with the overall bundles, whether it be through battle academies, build and battle stadiums, Scarlet and Violet booster boxes, which, yeah, those are pretty bad as well to bundle, considering the fact that they're at wholesale right now on TCG Player. So that's when you know it's extremely difficult to move them if you're trying to resell them. Just makes it so that a lot of people are not interested in picking up Silver Tempest and Lost Origin for those general prices. And for that exact reason, prices did not correct as much as we may have hoped. And for that exact reason, I see it as an amazing opportunity for us to be able to pick it up as to what I anticipate to be close to the bottom. Now, as always, I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice, but just based on the overall pattern of behavior that we've seen over the past couple weeks, it feels as if it's going slightly down and sideways for both of these boxes. So I feel confident in saying that now is a really good time to pick up. Obviously, if it does end up going another $10, $15, $20 cheaper, then it's always a good idea to just dollar cost average down into lower price point positions, because at the end of the day, if we want to play the game of trying to be greedy and wait another month or two for these items to potentially bottom out, you know, you could end up doing that. But if we saw what happened with Evolving Skies, where we did have a reprint where it was an extremely tiny reprint, the price went from $200 all the way down to $125, $130. A lot of people were hoping to get it for around the low 100s. Never ended up happening, and instead it turned right back around and shot up to as high as I think what it is right now, around $450. So the volatility for that was extremely explosive. And we've talked about this before when it comes to booster boxes. Historically speaking, if there is a small print of booster boxes, they tend to perform extremely well, aka looking at Team Up being the best performing Sun and Moon era booster box at $2,000, and then taking a look at Rebel Clash, arguably one of the worst sets in the Sword and Shield era, but it is sitting in the low 200s. I think it's around 220, 230 right now, which is insane to think about considering it is one of the worst sets by far, but because there was such a low amount of it printed, it performed extremely, extremely well. And with the way in which the Pokemon Company has been signaling towards things, it makes me believe that these two sets could be the next sets that are potentially going to moon before they go out of rotation. Obviously, when it comes to looking at Scarlet and Violet right now, what are the general booster box prices for most of them? As mentioned before, Scarlet and Violet base is wholesale prices. Paldea Evolved is slightly above wholesale, being at around the low 100s. And looking at how Obsidian Flames has been performing, it looks like it's not that far off from being there. I think it's selling for, as of the recording of this video, 108, 109. Wouldn't surprise me if it shot all the way down to the low 100s and sub 100, just based on the way in which the set is looking and the sentiment is feeling. And you might be saying to yourself, well, Eli, wouldn't it be a much better opportunity for me to just go in on Scarlet and Violet, considering that they're so close to the new wholesale price? Well, although I think they will definitely be an amazing opportunity to pick up, I think you have a lot more time to be able to hop into these items than you will with the Sword and Shield era items, which are older, more than likely not going to get another print. And if we take a look at what history has shown us, an item such as Chilling Reign, the booster box, right? It was going for around $80 when it got its reprints back at the end of 2021, and it stayed around that $80 price point for about another 3 to 6 months. So you had a ton of time, if you wanted to pick up at sub wholesale prices, and that was an amazing set. Chilling Reign, arguably one of my favorite sets in the Sword and Shield era, and still it performed extremely poorly over a long period of time before it finally started to take off. I think you're going to see something very similar happen to Scarlet and Violet era product. There's going to be a large flood of it on the market. There already is a large supply of it on the market, and so it's going to take some time for it to kind of curate before it does go up. And for me, that makes me feel confident that I can be patient before I really want to hop in with these Scarlet and Violet era booster boxes. And I'd much rather take the opportunities that I think could explode extremely fast. I don't think it's too much of a hot take to say that, just based on what we saw with Evolving Skies, you could potentially see these booster boxes in the next year plus to go for $200+ a piece. And now some people might think that's a hot take, but you know, Evolving Skies did it at $400+ and it did it in under a year. And I'm giving it more time to go up in price and hit half the price point of Evolving Skies. You take a look at these two sets, Evolving Skies obviously being the coolest of the three, by far the fan favorite, but when you look at Lost Origin, it has some amazing card arts. The Giratina alternate art is an amazing art design. Aerodactyl, as I've voiced many times before, is one of my favorite alternate arts within the Sword and Shield era. I don't even care about that Pokemon, but the art is so magnificent. Has an absolutely amazing subset when it comes to the multitude of Pikachus that you can pull. Charizard, Gengar, Snorlax, and so much more when looking at it. Obviously, Silver Tempest, when compared to Elo, it feels a little lackluster, but what does it still have inside the set? It has a Rayquaza in the character rare subset, and then it has a Lugia, and if we know historically speaking, sets that do have both of those items tend to perform really well. We take a look at how the performance of Lost Thunder was. I mean, gosh dang, guys, it went from being dropped to the low 300s after it had that small supply dumped onto the market about a year and a half, 2 years ago, and now it's just been absolutely skyrocketing up since then and is one of the best performing first half era Sun and Moon era booster boxes. I want to specify that because it is a set that doesn't have alternate arts and it's still performing extremely well. Whereas with Sword and Shield era, specifically this one for the Lugia, it does have an alternate art. So I really am extremely confident on the performance of these booster boxes. And although, like I said before, it's kind of a disappointment that there wasn't a ton of opportunity to get it for the low 100s, there is one place that I can tell you that you'll actually be able to get it for close to low 100, around 108, 109. And that is our Patreon wholesale program, which I'm excited to announce. We added a couple more spots. So if you actually do want to take advantage and be able to get in at wholesale prices for Magic, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh! Right now on pre-order, we have Crown Zenith selling for $29.99 Elite Trainer Box, which is an insane price. And if you want to be able to pick up as much Silver Tempest and Lost Origin booster boxes as you want for $109 a piece, then I highly recommend you join the program. It's cheaper than anywhere else you're going to be able to find it on the market, so it's definitely an opportunity you don't want to pass up on. Going back to it once again, kind of doubling down and reiterating on the magnificence of the sets. What have we seen so far in the Sun and Moon era that has absolutely been popping off? It has been the alternate arts. Alternate arts are something I really want to double down on, whether it be investing in the singles or more specifically investing in the sealed product that has alternate arts within the sets. And with seeing how they have performed, it would not surprise me if people are going to look back at the Sword and Shield era and say to themselves, man, this had some of the most amazing alternate arts within the general Pokemon eras by far, especially considering the fact that it was really one of the driving, innovations for alternate arts, starting with Sword and Shield. And for me personally, I can see them pointing to some of the best sets being included of Silver Tempest and Lost Origin when people go back and look at which ones they enjoyed opening, which ones they're going to enjoy opening and try and live nostalgically. Not to mention too, when we talk about the Sword and Shield era as a whole, this was a generation where a lot of people were stuck during COVID and they were locked up in their homes, and they started to get back into Pokemon during the time of the Sword and Shield era. So it's going to be one that I find to potentially be extremely nostalgic, which is why there's a reason that the characters that tends to perform the best, historically speaking, it's the ones that have the nostalgic feel, the Gen 1 vibes, or the fan favorites from different generations, whether it be Gen 2, 3, 4, etc., etc. But let me know down in the comments below, ladies and gentlemen, do you feel as if Sword and Shield era is going to be nostalgic for a lot of people? And is there a set specifically that you guys like within the Sword and Shield era? As always, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to enter into weekly giveaways, make sure you leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. But that is all. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Until then, I will see you all on Thursdays Live. Peace.